Today we're going to talk about the skeletal system. Okay, amazing fact about bones. Humans and giraffes have the same number of bones in their necks. Obviously, the bones in the giraffes' necks are much larger than ours. Okay, the skeletal system is the physical foundation of the body. Okay, without it, we would just be a mass of goo on the floor. We need that structure. We have 206 bones of different shapes and sizes in our body. When we're born, we have 300, but a lot of the bones fuse together and we end up with 206. A joint is a point in which two or more bones are joined together, like our wrist, our elbow, our knee. And bones are attached at movable or immovable joints. So an example of an immovable joint is we have many joints in our skull that are immovable, and then we have many joints that are movable, like our elbow. Okay, osteology. Remember, ology is the study of, os is the technical term for bone. If you have osteoporosis, that means that you have a problem with your bones. So that always means bone, okay? You have long bones, like your arms and your legs. Flat bones, like your skull, your scapula, which is your shoulder blades, and your sternum, which is your breastbone. And you have irregular bones. They look like they're already broken. Your wrist, your ankle, and your spinal column. You know how knobby your spinal column bones look. Okay, bones are composed of 2/3 mineral matter and 1/3 organic matter. They produce white and red blood cells, so they're important, and they store calcium. So you want to make sure you get as much calcium in your body as you possibly can up until the age of 30. You can build it up. After 30, all you can do is maintain it. This is what keeps you from being hunched over when you're older. This keeps you from breaking bones when you're older. So calcium is very, very important. All right, function. Like I said, supports our body. It supports our muscles, all of our tissues. It surrounds and protects the organs. We have a cage that goes around all of our organs here that, for the most part, protects them all. It provides a frame for muscles to attach to. Without that, we couldn't do this. And it allows for body movement. All right, the skull. The skull is the skeleton of the whole head. So if you're walking out in the desert and you see these cool bones left over from a cow, and it's their head and their horns, you're going to say, look at that cool cow skull. It's this entire thing. Excuse me. It encloses and protects the brain, and it's divided into two groups of bones. Your cranium, if you've ever played the game Cranium, it's a thinking game, so it's about your brain, has 8 bones, and your facial skeleton has 14. Okay, the 8 bones of your cranium. Okay, so you've got your frontal bone, your forehead. You've got your parietal bone and your occipital. So we already know that one, so you can take that one, you know that one. And your temporal bone is not up here where you would think, but it's kind of like over your ear. Okay, you have 2 temporal bones, you have 2 parietal bones, 1 frontal and 1 occipital. Okay, the facial skeleton. Okay, number 1 is the mandible. It's the largest bone in your face. All right, so look how large that is. Okay, so when you're jawing about your man, going back and forth, you're using your mandible. Okay, your man's name is Max. Got 2 bones here that are your maxillae. So 2 bones here, Max, mandible. So you're talking about Max. Okay, 4 and 5 are your 2 nasal bones. So your nasal bones are up here. The rest of it is cartilage. You've got your zygomatic bones. This is what gives you cheekbones. Some people have more prominent zygomatic bones than other people. And your lacrimal bones. They're way in here inside the inner wall of your eye socket. Okay, so they just went over the primary ones. They didn't go over all of them. I do want to go back and tell you one that you will see on the one that they didn't talk about. Right here, this is your sphenoid, okay? So it's SPH, sphenoid, all right? It is like, it's like the glue that holds everything together, okay? So this bone kind of joins everything else together, your sphenoids. They didn't talk about that. The other one that they didn't talk about was in here is your ethmoid. So they kind of rhyme. All right, in your neck, you have vertebrae. Cervical means neck. So if you've ever been in an accident and had to wear one of those collars, they're called a cervical collar. So that's all that means is neck. And these are your vertebrae in your neck. So if you go to the doctor, okay, if you go to the chiropractor, they might say something like, oh, C4 is out of alignment. So that's all they mean is it's that bone in your neck. If they talk about your thoracic vertebrae, that's these bones in here in your spine. And then if they talk about lumbar vertebrae, it's down here at the bottom. So each one of them has a designation that tells the chiropractor exactly where they are. Your hyoid is what gives us an Adam's apple. It's a floating bone. It's not connected to any other bones. It's connected to cartilage and other tissue. Okay, here's your thoracic vertebrae. Okay, it's going in the middle there between your cervical vertebrae and your lumbar vertebrae. You've got your sternum, which is your breastbone, your ribs, your clavicle, which is your collarbone. Both of them start with a C. And your scapula or your shoulder blade. Both of them start with an S. All together, this creates a thorax. And what that does is it's the bony cage that protects your organs inside. Okay, in your arm, okay, if you've ever gone and hit your elbow off something, you go, oh, I hit my funny bone. Well, that's very humerus, okay? So remember, this is your humerus. You hit the end of it, your funny bone. And then the two bones in the bottom of your arm are your radius and your ulna. Easiest way to remember this is to go like this with your arms. R, that's closest to your body, comes before U in the alphabet. So radius is on your thumb side and the ulna is on your pinky side. Radius and ulna. Okay, you've got carpals, which are those irregular bones of your wrist. Okay, these are your carpals. So if you go out fishing and you're fishing for carp, you're going to be using your wrist a lot. Okay, so carpals. Then the palm of your hand, if you flex your hand like that, you can see the bones through there, are your metacarpals. So the 5 bones that come up make the palm of your hand. Carpals, metacarpals. These are your phalanges. Okay, so you've got 5 digits and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 phalanges in each hand. Your thumb only has 2. All the rest of your fingers have 3. And together they're a digit. Okay, going to the leg. The femur is the biggest bone in your body. So you'll hear maybe athletes break their femur. That's terrible. That's the worst one to heal. Okay, your patella or your kneecap is also floating. It's not connected to anything except cartilage and ligaments. That's your kneecap. Okay, then you've got 2 bones in the bottom portion of your leg, just like in your arm. You got your humerus, your radius, and your ulna, in your leg, it's your femur. And then you've got your tibia and fibula. Tibia is the big bone, and it's on the big toe side. Fibula is the little bone, and it's on your little pinky toe side. Okay, you've got your talus, which is right here at the bottom of your tibia. You've got your tarsals and your metatarsals. Just like you had your carpus and your metacarpus, in your ankle you have your tarsals and your metatarsals. So everything's structured just about the same way. And then you've got your phalanges in your foot. Okay, so you've got your feet bend and you have the same number of phalanges. Okay, true or false? Bone is composed of 2/3 mineral matter and 1/3 organic matter. That is true. Long bones are found in the skull. I think it's flat bones are found in the skull. Functions of the skeletal system include support, protection, muscle attachment, and allowing body movement. The skull is the skeleton of the head that encloses and protects the brain and primary sensory organs. Okay? I guess they're talking about like our eyes and our taste and our smell. All right, the cranium bone that forms the back of the skull, indenting above the nape area, is the, you guys all know this one, occipital bone. The largest bone of the facial skeleton. Remember, you're talking about your mandible. The 7 bones that form the top part of the spinal column are the, what kind of vertebrae? Cervical vertebrae. The clavicle is also known as the collarbone. The largest bone of the upper arm, oh, ow, I hit my humerus. And the longest bone of the body is the femur. All right, that's it for the skeletal system.